I don't know if Higgins confessed to him or said something. Normally, I could just ask Karen that. I don't really talk to her much these days.
You have any clue what's on my phone that they took?
Yeah, I went to jail. You didn't.
Going out of your way to protect Brian Albert's reputation, and then here he is at your retirement party. I can't trust this guy.
I just want you to know who I am.
Do you know what the word eerie means?
I'm sorry, English is like a third language for me, so if you can bring up the Webster's Dictionary, I can read it out.
Buchanan got up there, former Marine. He carries himself like former military, just his whole like demeanor on the stand is military, Eastern European military. He reminds me of like the KGB, you know. His thing up here with the cuffs. I've been told for years, oh dude, the lawsuit's gonna come. First it was, we'll wait till the trial's over, then the lawsuits are gonna come. It's been like 4 months, bro. I don't know when these lawsuits are coming.
Someone needs to get this message to the defense. Sonny barks if you walk by my window and sneeze. Someone needs to get this message to the defense.
Hey, hi everybody, here's my phone. Hello.
Buchanan loved him.
The investigation was done with honor, integrity, and all the evidence pointed in one direction only.
Buchanan loved him. Meet the person of the year, Michael Proctor. On every level that a person could be, Michael Proctor wins the award for a combination of both. I would really like somebody to do the right thing in this case. Hank Brennan deserves an award for being the most likable human being that the world has ever seen. 100% sure that Karen did do this. Killed him! That's what happened. That's what happened.
Hey, hi everybody, here's my phone. Hello.
Welcome. This is the I Don't Belong Here show, and I am your host, Samantha Beningo. I am a behavioral scientist, a career a sixth-year PhD candidate in clinical psychology, a master's level psycho turtle boy, Mr. Aidan Carney.
What a beautiful sight for sore eyes. Our favorite law tuber, Samantha Beningo, is back, and she landed a great interview with old turtle boy. Let's watch.
Thank you for having me, Samantha.
Thank you for coming. Oh my God, this is very surreal for me. I will just start with that.
You know, my favorite was when Morrissey emailed the Attorney General in July and was like, hey, can you charge this guy with witness intimidation? And they were like, nah. And so it's like, I had no idea that Morrissey was doing that until we got his emails, which common sense tells you that if you find out that a Plow driver saw a Ford Edge parked next to where you claim a dead body was, you better find that driver. Like, how do you explain that?
You got information during the course of your investigation that an eyewitness placed a Ford Edge in front of 34 Fairview in the early morning hours of January 29, 2022, correct?
I'm familiar with that.
The eyewitness indicated that the Ford Edge was placed there sometime between 2:30 in the morning and 3:30 in the morning, correct?
I'm familiar with that.
Brian Loughran, Loughran.
And there he is, Canton royalty, old Brian Lucky Loughran. He's the one who saw the Ford Edge park right in front of where Jonike's body was eventually found. Let's watch.
It was dark out that night, wasn't it?
Correct.
There are no street lights down near that flagpole area of 34 Fairview, is there?
Yes, there is.
As the supervising investigator, did you do anything to investigate the circumstances of that Ford Edge being placed in front of 34 Fairview sometime between 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning?
Yes.
What did you do?
We determined the veracity of that statement, and we want to make sure that the person who gave it is consistent and accurate and had a good vantage point of it.
What truck or snowplow were you assigned in those early morning hours?
I was assigned truck 30.
Does that have a particular nickname?
By now we know the famous nickname of Truck 30. It's Old Franken Truck.
Yes, it's considered a Franken truck.
What do those photos depict?
They depict the inside of truck 30 or Franken truck. Yes, that's the inside of the Franken truck looking out the windshield.
When you are plowing, sir, where is your attention focused? Now, when you're plowing, where is your attention focused, sir?
My attention's focused out the front window, to the right and to the left.
Why?
I am looking for pedestrians. I'm looking for residents that may be backing out, not aware that I'm there, and God forbid, animals. Any pedestrians, and God forbid, any animals.
Are you satisfied with that?
No.
Why not?
Well, the person has given the statement multiple times, and it appears to have changed over those times.
Now, in fact, when you first spoke to this individual named Paul, you didn't tell him it was a Ford Edge, correct?
Nope, told him it was a Ford Edge.
You didn't tell him first that it was a small SUV?
Nope, Told him it was Ford Edge.
It also appears that the person observed this vehicle from a distance.
Describe for the jury what you see in the road at that point.
As I make my right onto Fairview, I notice that there's a vehicle on the right-hand side, roughly in the area of the flagpole, in front of 34 Fairview.
What type of vehicle was that?
A Ford Edge.
What direction was that vehicle parked when you saw it?
It was parked nose going up Fairview.
What caused you to remember that there was a Ford Edge parked at 3:30 outside the Alberts residence that night?
For as long as I can remember, they have never parked a vehicle in front of their house. They've always had enough ample parking in the driveway.
And typically, at least around this time of January or late January 2022, as far as the vehicles that you were talking about, would any of those vehicles go in the garage, or what was in the garage?
If there was a storm coming, we would try to arrange things so we could at least maybe get one or two of the cars in there, but otherwise we didn't put the cars in the garage.
That's Nicole Albert testifying that they didn't park any cars on the street, and if there was a storm coming, they would try and put some in the garage. This actually backs exactly what old Lucky Lockton testified to.
Only if it was gonna, be a storm, we would try to get some of them out of the driveway.
There is no parking allowed. We are supposed to notify our supervisor when there is a vehicle in the way. At that point, the supervisor will make attempt to call the resident or have the police show up at the resident. And then if they can't get the car removed, the car gets towed.
Sir, did you follow protocol that night?
I did not.
Why not?
Knowing the Albert family, I gave them respect and opted not to follow procedure.
How did the presence of that Ford Edge parked on the side of the road affect your direction of travel?
I had to go around the vehicle.
How did you maneuver around it?
I had to maneuver to the left, go up, and then maneuver back right into my lane, and then continue up Fairview.
Compare that to the murder of Dan Markell, where the next door neighbor, who is very elderly, got a quick glimpse of a flash of a car, and the cops were eventually able to track that car down, and that's how that murder was solved. Here we have Lucky going back and forth, passing that car several times, and still no investigation by the dopes at the Massachusetts State Police.
I had my car, which was a Cadillac. My husband had his work car. We had, I think, a Ford Explorer. The kids were driving a Ford Escape.
Testified earlier that there are 4 cars that are usually parked in the driveway at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
And you listed at least the make and model of about 3 of those vehicles.
Yeah.
You said there's a Cadillac that usually is parked in your driveway, there's a Ford Explorer, and there's a Ford Escape, correct?
Yeah.
But you also said there's a 4th car. That's your husband's work vehicle.
Yes. My husband had his work car.
What type of car is that?
That's a Ford Edge.
Is there
Whoops.
a reason that you didn't want to state or commit to that in front of this jury when you originally testified?
No, there's no reason. I was just trying to think of all the different cars. We have 5 kids. We've had a lot of different vehicles. I was just saying it as I remembered it.
Again, I saw the Ford Edge in the road.
Now it's on your left side?
Yes.
Did it appear to be in the identical position as when you came up the street toward Chapman?
Yes.
And also the identification of a Ford Edge seemed highly suggestive the way that I had read the account of it. If I had done that as a police officer, this court would throw out that identification.
This cue ball is referring to the fact that old Lucky identified a Ford Edge when an investigator brought him out in the parking lot and showed him various cars. But it's very clear, King Lucky always knew it was a Ford Edge.
Did you find out anybody in the Albert family, for instance, owned a Ford Edge?
I don't recall off the top of my head if somebody...
Did you look? Automobile registration records?
I did not know.
Did you ask anybody else to look at automobile registration records?
I believe Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan
Trooper Bukaki
had investigated that.
And do you have any idea what that investigation revealed?
I don't.
Did the Alberts own a Ford Edge?
I don't know as I sit here.
They did own a Ford Edge, didn't they?
What kind of vehicle was that?
That was a Ford Edge.
Objection. So the objection sustained.
But nothing was done further that you're aware of to investigate the circumstances of that Ford Edge.
Ford Edge.
Ford Edge.
Being seen, placed in front of 34 Fairview, right where the body was found.
An investigation into the reliability of that witness.
And Tully got on the stand.
There are only 10 potential suspects that could have possibly killed John O'Keefe, and one of them happened to own a Ford Edge.
It wasn't my Ford Edge. I can't drive stick.
Could you imagine not investigating that?
And he was like, no, we just didn't think it was a credible tip. Oh, why not? We believe he's coached into it. And the color was wrong. And from my experience, we just not something that we would look into. And he just says it so cold. He's wearing a suit and he looks professional and he's bald. So like the jury just, this guy must know what he's talking about. He's pretty bald.
And the most obvious tell to me is the fact that they never considered a defamation suit.
Yeah, I check my mailbox every day, waiting for my defamation suit.
You and me too, brother. Every single day I make the representation that Brian Higgins was involved in the death of John O'Keefe. And unlike Turtle Boy, I have a lot of assets.
I've been making some pretty strong allegations the last couple of years. I've been straight up calling people murderers every day, profiting off of it. I've been told for years, oh, dude, the lawsuit's going to come. First, it was, we'll wait till the trial's over. Then the lawsuits are going to come. It's been like 4 months, bro. I don't know when these lawsuits are coming, but there's a 3-year statute of limitations in Massachusetts. You better hurry up. You're running out of time to get these lawsuits in. And so, yeah, I mean, Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, Brian Albert, Colin Albert. I mean, when do the lawsuits come in? I'm waiting, boys. Yeah, Buchanan came across worse than Proctor. He just is. I mean, Proctor came across on the stand like a goofus. Like, this guy is just a fucking complete joke. Buchanan got up there, former Marine. He carries himself like former military. Just his whole like demeanor on the stand is military, Eastern European military. He reminds me of like the KGB. You know, his thing up here with the cuffs and the cockiness and the arrogance.
You make assumptions based on those suggestions, right? Yes or no?
We have theories.
Another term for a theory is an assumption or presumption.
I guess in some respect you can say that. I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
You'll agree that words matter, right? I mean, you're testifying, so words do matter.
Words do matter. That's important.
You know what the word theory means?
I'm sorry. English is like a third language for me. So if you can bring up the Webster's dictionary, I can read it out.
You want to pull up Webster's dictionary? You want to take a break real quick and pull up the Webster's dictionary to define a word that you used in an answer about 40 seconds ago?
We have theories.
We're working off of a theory, quote unquote. You said it, not me. You want me to go get a dictionary so we can figure out for the jurors what that word means?
He just seemed evil.
Despite claiming English is his third language, jury had no problem reading that karaoke screen.
The jury saw that. They were just like, this guy. Something ain't right with this guy. I can't trust this guy.
I just want you to know I am.
That may be true, but he has a beautiful singing voice.
And this was a much better jury this time. It was a younger jury. It was a more diverse jury. They were just less likely to blindly believe the police this time around. Because Berkowitz was heavily involved in the cover-up. I think he was one of the most involved. I think he planted taillight. He knew from the start that Karen Reed had to be framed for this.
Ken Berkowitz was the chief of police in Canton. He was in love with old Higgy Bear because he was a federal agent, and he allowed Higgy Bear to have an office within the actual police station.
The access, the motive, the means, like his buddy Higgins is involved. I don't know if Higgins confessed to him or said something. It wouldn't surprise me if Higgins was like, look, a fucking accident happened there, dude. We don't, Brian Albert's a pillar of the community. That's what he called him to the reporter who reported that John O'Keefe's body was found on Brian Albert's lawn. He asked him to take a tweet down because Brian Albert was a pillar of the community.
That was what Berkowitz called him.
That was what Berkowitz called him. And it was like, I talked to the reporter that did it. He showed me the receipts of Berkowitz texting him and the phone call. This is what he asked me to do. He asked me to take the tweet down, and I did because I just didn't want to fucking deal with him.
Turtle Boy's claiming that Chief Berkowitz saw a tweet about Brian Albert and asked the reporter to take it down, and the reporter did. That means there's a strong connection between Berkowitz and old Brian Albert, in addition to Berkowitz and Higgy Bear.
And so I just took the tweet down because he was a pain in the ass. And so, like, that's crazy that you're going out of your way to protect Brian Albert's reputation, and then here he is at your retirement party, of course, and you're like, yeah, that's the kind of guy that can get away with murder, that guy. One thing I don't understand is why she's not suing Colin Albert. A lot of people asked about that. Well, I could just ask Karen that. I don't really talk to her much these days.
It appears Turtle Boy and Karen are still in a little bit of a dispute over some audio recordings of some meaningless conversation. I am not going to be distracted. The reason Colin Albert was not sued, and Turtle Boy doesn't understand this yet, is that he wasn't there and has zero liability. The attorneys representing Karen Reed would be committing major malpractice if they even thought a little bit that Colin Albert was involved, but it turns out we made a huge mistake in that first trial, and we have to admit when we're wrong.
I do wonder about that. I know that the Chris Albert side of the family is dead broke. Colin Albert, he lied more than anyone on the stand.
Right. Clear cut.
Yeah.
Evidence. Video evidence.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. You wouldn't take that as a threat?
If they walked up to me, yeah.
Were you threatening Advantage boys, guys, whoever they are?
Yeah, kinda.
I realize that neither of these two are experts in witness testimony, but there is no way you can say Colin Albert lied the most when we know old Higgy Bear and Brian Albert were the ones that were the most misleading when testifying under oath.
Like, bro, the freaking cuts on his arm, like, that didn't happen from falling out. It's just a lie.
And anyone who's been in a real fight knows you don't get 4 scrape marks like Colin had on all your knuckles from a punch. Once Turtle Boy starts communicating again with Karen, he'll learn from their attorneys that Colin Albert had nothing to do with this. However, despite any of these little issues, we are all on the same team, and we're all here to do one thing: to find the real killer,
Brian Higgins,
and bring him to justice.
I want to say something to Dave. We went through 2 trials, and I can say this honestly. I've never met a gentleman, a defense attorney, that considers me a friend. I consider you a friend, and you were so great. You asked as little as you could of me, and I gave you as much as I could give you. The other thing I just want to know is that it was a tough decision to get involved, but it was the right decision. It was the correct decision, and I wouldn't change it at all.
God love you.
Thank you.